Folks, we are live streaming to our temple live stream as well. Hope everybody has had a great week. It is good to be with you. Cantor Hayut. Can you unmute yourself, Cantor Hayut?
With
Perfect. All right. All right, excellent. Before we get going, I'm going to get my talit. And we're back, or I'm back. You've been here.
Well, but we're all back.
We're all back. Exactly. All right. Let me begin our screen share. And I hope everybody is seeing that. Good. I'm getting some nods. Yes. That's good. We begin. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Olachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei
going to stop our share screen for a moment. Just for all of us to take a look at our... I have 4 different screens of beautiful faces in front of me. Cycle through the faces. Cycle through the folks who are joining us tonight. All of you here together. In our own homes, in our own spaces, but together as a community. Where are you sitting? Are you on the end of a row? Are you in the front row? Who are you sitting next to? Who do you see? And maybe even take a moment and send a private chat to somebody that you're sitting next to and say, I'm sitting next to you tonight. I'm here right now, sitting next to you. In a few minutes, near the last third of our service, we'll be chanting Torah. Cantor Hayu will be chanting a section of Torah that begins the book of Exodus. Excuse me, the book of Numbers. The book of Numbers, as our ancestors left the foot of Mount Sinai to begin their trek, to begin their walk all the way to God's promised land. As we imagine ourselves on a journey, I don't know how long you thought this was going to last, but it's lasting longer than I thought it would. But here we are on a journey together. Sitting next to people in a Zoom call, holding each other up, lifting each other up by showing up for each other. This Shabbat, and Shabbatot in the past, and at Shabbatot in the future. Truly, we again are standing together at Sinai. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. We continue with the Chadodi, and when we reach our 9th and final verse, I'll encourage you to rise and face the entrance to your sanctuary to welcome Shabbat HaMalkah, the Sabbath bride, into your home this evening.
בשלום, עטרת בלגן בשמחה, ובצלת טוב אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לחדותי לקראת חלה, הנה שבת קבלה, לחדותי לקראת חלה, הנה שבת לקבלה.
And before we continue with Psalm 92, I also know, of course, that there are folks on our temple live stream that aren't in our Zoom call, that don't have the ability to see people sitting next to them. And I want to acknowledge you as well, who join us wherever you may be. We hope that our community can continue to support you as well and hold you up as we continue this journey together. Psalm 92.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות. עלי עזור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינוך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
We continue with our candle lighting and invite Fern, Deborah, and Ralph Katz to light our Sabbath lights.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Thank you, Fern.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner, l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you so much for lighting our candles this evening. Shabbat Shalom to you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי תוכו בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי עלמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי דקודשא בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו amen.
If you're able, please rise for the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. Please be seated. God of mystery, thank you for the gift of this day, for the one ending and the one about to begin. Help me to see the moments and the hours, those already past and those to come, as blessings, as teachers. Guide me to service for your name's sake. Grant me comfort and rest so that I enter the new day with a sense of joy, hope, and peace. Then, God of old, I will become a source of love, a beacon of wonder, awe, and grace. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Light is sown for the righteous, tucked into cracks in the sidewalks, dropped in the grass, breathed into the air, left waiting for others to find. You who are upright in heart, let your deeds declare your love. Let your hands be a source of healing. Let your joy be a fountain of blessing. Rejoice in righteousness and spread holiness throughout your days. Light is sown for you. Seek it. Find it. Magnify it in service to God's holy name. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. You can either continue to be seated as you'd like, or to rise for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael. Shem kivod malchuto leolam vaed.
Please be seated if you're standing. We continue Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We pray that tonight God keeps us safe, shelters us with peace, keeps us far from harm. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu העמידנו שומרנו לחיים, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
So I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit unconventional again as we begin Vishamru, our weekly reminder to keep this day different than the rest of the week. And because when you chat with everyone, it pops up on everyone's screen, and not everybody might want to do this. So I'm going to ask that you do this to me privately. You can send me a private message, right? If you click on my name in the chat feature, you'll send me just a private message. If you're willing, as we begin this prayer, what are you going to do today on this Shabbat to keep it separate from the rest of the week? How are you going to make it different than every other day this week? Because, I think we probably always think that I hope we always think that when I say that during services, and when we're in person and I say that, I hope you probably think, well, what am I going to do today to keep this day different? How have I separated Shabbat? But we've never actually articulated that. And so, especially because of our physical distance from each other, if you're willing, what are you going to do today to keep this day separate, to guard it from the rest of the week? So just to me privately in the chat box, and I'll read anything out at the end of the prayer. Vishamru.
ושומרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת עין
So I'm not going to read people's names, but I'll just read what everybody wrote. Focus on nature versus Zoom. I'm going to walk to a different park than usual. Hard to do much differently, but I lit the Shabbat candles. I'm going to go for some walks outside and spend more time with family and friends, the latter being via Zoom. We'll make masks for Chelsea Hospital. Being at home, I'm able to light my candles. I miss that when I'm not home. I found my parents' Kiddush cups. They were buried in some things my brother sent to me. They're highly tarnished, and I'm going to polish them and bring them back to life. We'll spend special time with our daughter and son-in-law who are sheltering with us since March. Meditate on Saturday. We'll take a sunbath and bless God for supplying the beautiful day. No laundry. I'm taking a Trumpcation. No negative stuff. Just focus on the good things around me. Celebrate with family at the lake for the first time in several weeks. Social distancing, of course. I'm going sailing, weather permitting. Spending time with Alden Salavi's book on healing. I plan to spend lots of the day outside, planting, tending the garden, and observing the beautiful universe around me. I'm going to send my love without announcing that I've done so. Plant flowers to beautify the deck outside my window. Turn off the internet news and reread some Torah that I skimmed before. I'll have extra patience with my family. Spending time with a rabbi friend, I have an opportunity to learn more about what this day means. I visit a friend who's alone and have dinner with social distancing. In this strange time, it's difficult to differentiate one day from the other. I think I'd like to sleep late, take a walk, and spend time with my family. I'm going to reach out to a dear friend who had to reluctantly sell her home and move into assisted living. Put my hands in the earth and plant my flowers and vegetables. Sounds like a good Shabbat. We continue with the Amidah, the central prayer of this evening's service, chanting out loud together, and then there are some brief intermediary prayers that we'll just read through as well, and then have a few moments of silence following that. If you're able, please rise.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Mekonei HaKol, V'zocher Chazdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia. Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Nofalim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Mishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atala Achayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim b'chol yom Yehalelucha Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato l'Tzion. Praise to you, Adonai, whose presence returns to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hatol shimcha lochen ha'el hodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael v'shalom. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. We continue with a few moments of silent personal meditation. And now for something extra special.
Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter, God. Rock me in your arms and help me make this day a song of praise to God. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter, God. Rock me in your arms, guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to God. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps.
Thank you to Cantor Hayut and Kohalev and Taylor. Wow. Beautiful. Just gorgeous. Of course, I had already seen this because Cantor Hayut sent me the video, so I watched it before I put it into the PowerPoint. So rather than watching the screen, I was looking at all of your faces, smiling. So many of you with these broad smiles, looking intently at your screens, just I think in awe of what Kohalev was able to accomplish there. Just gorgeous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really powerful.
Everyone, and this was really an awesome opportunity, and we're excited about doing more and more. So,
yeah, beautiful. I do want to say though that creating those is a lot of work, both for each individual singing, and then of course the editing is a lot of work, and especially for the extra time that Kohalev is putting into this. Thank you so much for that gift to our congregation. And thank God we can keep using that for ever and ever now. So perfect.
Exactly. That is huge.
Cantor Hayut, we have a few lines of Torah to chant
Huge.
as we begin the book of Bamidbar. And again, I say this every year, but important for us to remember that the books of Torah, the English names are typically not translations of the Hebrew names. And Bamidbar, in the wilderness, in the wilderness. We've been in the wilderness, or at least at the foot of Sinai, for a few months, a few years actually. I think two years they sat there, and then we're about to begin our journey to the promised land. One they didn't think was going to take them 40 years, but they are in the wilderness. We are in the wilderness, making our way on a journey to the promised land, and we will get there eventually. But we begin our Torah reading at the very beginning. Numbers 1:1. I'll follow along with my cursor. The English doesn't line up exactly with the Hebrew. Sorry about that, but you'll certainly be able to get a sense. Wherever you see the Hebrew letters in brackets there, those are numbers actually, right? So Aleph 1, Bet 2, Gimel 3, as you can keep track of where we are in the English if you're reading there. Whenever you're ready, Cantor Hayut.
Thank you. Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe b'midbar Sinai be'ohel moed be'echad.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I just didn't have it memorized.
Yeah, there you go.
באחד לחודש השני בשנה השנית לצאתם מארץ מצרים לאמור שאו את ראש כל עדת בני ישראל למשפחותם לבית אבותם במספר שמות כל זכר לגולגלותם, מבין 20 שנה ומעלה, כל יוצאי צבא בישראל, כי תפקדו אותם, לצבאותם אתה ואהרון, ואיתכם יהיו איש למטה, איש לראש לבית אבותיו הוא, ואלה שמות האנשים אשר יעמדו איתכם לראובן אליצור בן שדאור, לשמעון שלומיאל בן צורי שדי, ליהודה נחשון בן עמינדב, ליששכר נתנאל בן צוער, לזבולון אליאב בן חילון, לבני יוסף לאפרים אלישמע בן עמיהוד, למנשה גמליאל בן פדי צור, לבנימין אבידן בן גדעוני, לדן אחיעזר בן עמישדי, לאשר פגיאל בן oh, that's written funny. Achron, legad, Eliasaph ben Deuel, leNaftali, Achiran ben Enan, Ele Kroe haeda nisi mate avotav Rashe Alfei Yisrael Heim.
Yasher koach.
Thank you. Those names, wow. I forget every year why the kids get so nervous when they chant it.
Yeah, there are plenty of names. That's true.
And they sound all the same. No, I'm just kidding.
If you are thinking of a person who is in need of healing and you'd like to add their name to our list for healing, I'll be reading our communal list in a moment. If you don't hear that name, please do add that name into the chat box, and I can read it out for all of us. Debbie Pissarak, Joanne Blumberg, Valentina Wolfson, Hillary Handwerger, Bridget Ford, Joel Berger, Margaret Leslie, Sydney Usum, Barry Hopkins, Buddy Tepper, Dick Jordanson, Melissa Dorfman, Milton Child, Sherilyn Ford, Robert Morgan, Shmuel Natan Ben Avra Yaakova, Lauren Orzak, Aaron Scott, Jennifer Kinser, Valerie Carey, Sharon Israel, Sima Kroll, Debbie Weiner, Nicole Levine, Lance Mermel, Rachel Mermel, Judy Silverman, Alan Dorfman, Rosalind Pollins, Miwa Lewis, Neil Townsend, Tamara Conway, Marilyn Mann, Marilyn Jeffs, Albert Rancourt, Mark Hodling, Sooner Heath, Joan Cohen-Jones, Chuck Scott, Leela Sinkaran, Will Weber. Robert Zinn, John Kaplan, Annie Kopko, Don Allen, Molly Makama, Sally Cricks, Beth Garfield, Patrick Venega, Richard Humphrey, Tony Wisniewski, Gerald Russell, Pat Pigeon, Anne-Marie Herwagen, Steve Conway, Kathy and Katie Dudas, Nick Cordero, John Warford, Catherine Canal, Milton Scott, Aidan Day, Marty Scott, and Bob Tell. We pray for a full and speedy healing for all of them, for all of us, whether we know that we are in need of healing or not. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Avotenu miss those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, I was scrolling through Twitter a few days ago and came across a tweet from April Baskin. April was formerly the vice president for Audacious Hospitality at the Union for Reform Judaism and joined us for a talk about a year and a half ago in our sanctuary. April's tweet read, "I hoped after 20 years of organizing, this wouldn't need to be reaffirmed, but apparently it does. Jews of color count. Let's not quibble about data, nor leave out key studies. Questioning our numbers in a time of scarcity is a shameful power play. Listen, we count, and we're here to stay." I had no idea what April was talking about, but thankfully she provided some context with a link to a recent article published in ejewishphilanthropy.com, a website that often hosts the most important thinkers and ideas in the contemporary Jewish world. The article that provoked April's ire was one written by social scientists Ira Sheskin and Arnold Dashevsky, entitled, "How Many Jews of Color Are There?" Sheskin and Dashevsky were concerned about the inconsistencies in statistics in Jewish population surveys. They concluded in their essay, which was a synopsis of the work they had done in the American Jewish Yearbook, that the percentage of Jews of color is almost certainly closer to 6% nationally than to 12 to 15%, which is the numbers that are being talked about today. And this percentage has not increased significantly since 1990, although it is likely to do so in the future. Their questioning of more recent findings and the tone-deaf nature of the essay led to an immediate outcry in the Jewish community. Yes, April's response was the first I saw, but there have been many others. The founder of the website, Dan Brown, even published a response and apology. He writes, "When 'How Many Jews of Color Are There' reached my inbox, it was immediately greenlighted for posting. Never did it cross my mind that any would consider the essay hurtful. Disagree with the premise? Yes. Hurtful? No. E-Jewish Philanthropy is a publication, and myself personally are in full support of initiatives supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and fully support the Jews of color in our community." It was important that Brown spoke out in recent days, but his apology does not go far enough. As he said, the essay was immediately greenlighted for posting. It seems he didn't even consider how it might land in the Jewish community. One of the most resounding refutations of the article came from Rabbi Rick Jacobs, president of the Union for Reform Judaism, and Chris Harrison, a writer and editor for the URJ. In their response, they write, "We ask, even without the numbers, even without the studies, are the voices and shared experiences of Jews of color not enough? Is our anti-oppression work only worth it if the number of Jews of color in our ranks reaches a certain percentage?" The answer, we hope, is a resounding, of course not. As Jews, we are driven by our pursuit of justice and of treating equitably all who are marginalized, for we know that our liberation is interdependent upon one another. Jacobs and Harrison's response is important. It also goes hand in hand with an experience publicly recounted by a Jew of color, Mara Gad, who was also a featured speaker at the URJ Biennial this past December. First discussed on Facebook and then most recently in an article titled Our True Colors on tabletmag.com, Ms. Gad shares that she grew up Jewish, attended a Reform synagogue in Chicago as a child, but always felt the underlying racism in our community. When she presented at the URJ Biennial, she was confronted with stares, questions of authenticity, bewilderment from others at what she might have to offer the gathering. And when Rabbi Jacobs heard about what happened, then too he made a public statement, though that time apologizing for the Reform Jewish community's behavior. Yes, we died in the Freedom Rides. We marched with King. We helped form the NAACP. But when it comes to Jews of color in our midst, we've still got a racism problem as a community. When we meet a Jew who happens to be black or brown or of some ethnicity we don't typically consider Jewish, if the first thing that goes through our minds is, I wonder how they became Jewish, or I wonder if they really are Jewish, that is racism at play in our own minds, because it inaccurately assumes that all Jews by birth and Jews in general are white. Let's just acknowledge this. Even though our tendency may be to defend this thinking, to deny any implicit racism, when we either internally or audibly question the religious origins of a person based upon their appearance, racism is at play. Now, it doesn't mean that we are racists, but it does mean that for many of us, our deeply and long-held beliefs about Jewish appearance are obstacles for participation in the Jewish community. For a time, maybe these beliefs helped us figure out who is in the Jewish fold, to find the Mori or Shana in a crowded room. But today they're more likely used to tell us who's outside that fold. And oftentimes, we are wrong. I offer these thoughts tonight not only because of the articles erupted over the last few days, but because of our Torah portion as well, as Cantor Hayut just chanted, Se'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael, lemishpechotam levet avotam, lemispar shmot kol zachar legulatam. Take a census of the whole Israelite community by the clans of its ancestral houses, listing the names, every male, head by head. But really, the text reads more like this. As you are about to leave on your journey to the promised land, make sure everyone is with you. And by everyone, I mean count all the people. And by all the people, I mean the families, each according to their father's house. And by each person, I mean take the names of all the men as a census. We have a long history of counting only some of the people in our midst. And there is still much work to do, especially when it comes to professional leadership roles in the Jewish community for women. But there is no doubt we have made great strides in the last 30 years in this area. We need to make the same strides when it comes to Jews of color. For the truth is, our community is changing. Our families are more diverse, and our children and grandchildren hue darker than our grandparents may have. If we continue to only embrace white faces in the Jewish community, if we continue to count only those white faces, all the other faces will leave, and with them, the Jewish community. Shabbat Shalom. We are unbelievably in the last week of the Omer, and in our morning blessing session, I've been reading from a book every morning called Omer, Accounting. It's a book by Rabbi Karen Kadar. And it begins with a quote from another author, and then she reflects on that quote. So I offer this to you as we begin the 44th day of the Omer. The creative God is the one who made us co-creators of this created universe. We cooperate in the seeding of life. We participate in the coming of justice. We cultivate the ground. God created the world, yes, but then gave it to us to develop. We have made it what it is. It is faith in this God that raises us up from our tombs of oppression and sadness and want and fear and pain to begin again doing our part to make the world a laughing, loving place. There is no reason to assume, for example, that God will end nuclear weaponry. If the world ends in a nuclear blast, it will not be this God who did it. We created nuclear weapons. We can end them ourselves. In the light of everything we have been given, we have no grounds for blaming God for our losses. The call to faith is not the call to surrender to a grinning, ghoulish God who tries creation for the sheer delight of trial. What are we called to believe and in whom? We are surely called to believe that God, who is everywhere, is with us. And we are called to believe that this God is energy and love. Not the Grand Inquisitor, not the great circus master, not the indifferent professor who does distance research on our lives. God is the one who made for us a good world and walks with us to hold us up as we go. Sometimes, in the face of the God of life, the most faithful thing we can do is simply to keep on living. That is written by Joan Chichester, Sacred by Struggle, Transformed by Hope. And Rabbi Kadar's response, sometimes my response to prayer is a simple no, though no is never truly simple. Sometimes it is a foot-tapping impatience or a stubborn resistance. Then there are times when I pray and the most honest response I can muster is an angry fist shaking wildly at the heavens. And sometimes my response to prayer is an audible, discernible from the gut sigh. And then sometimes the Spirit of God is upon me and there is silence all around and I feel the vibrations of other people's supplications in my very being. During those precious moments, my response is to their prayer, and it is a simple nod and a shrug of the shoulders at the mystery of life. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Praise be you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe, instilling within us the holiness of mitzvot by commanding us to count the Omer. Today is the 44th day, 6 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. We continue with Aleinu, and I remind you that we're using a slightly different version of Aleinu, so be mindful of that as we continue to chant together. Please rise if you're able.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בכוכבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Rock of Jacob, comfort of Rachel, broken and torn, shattered and crushed, bereaved and bereft, we declare your holy name. We praise your gifts and your works. You are author and artist, architect and builder, source and redeemer. We, the mourners of Zion and Israel, comfort each other. We console the lonely and embrace the lost. We cry each other's tears. Together we recall your wonder and your majesty. Holy One, ineffable Redeemer, guiding hand, gentle hand, loving hand, Light of Israel, you are our shelter. We are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Doris Sperling, Marvin Struminger, Maury Silverman, Maxine Schell, Gennady Nemstov, Myrna Miller, Jonathan Gorwitz, Harold Schumacher, Tova Salinger, Bobby Lewis, and Bart Cohen. Our yard sites this week are for Jerry Alter, Luther Baker, Max Denson, Milton Donner, Robert Gerberg, Lee Garavek, Steve Gradwell, Bryna Graff, Sheila Huftel, Maurice Kogan, Irving Kroll, Marilyn Kronik, Hayunya Litvinskaya, Molly Matlin, Harry Metz, Naomi Mursky, George Makatoff, Joy Newman, Milton Ratner, Richard Reed, Lillian Rice, Burton Rosen, Gustava Schleicher, Alex Shumansky, Janet Shapiro, Ruth Shapiro, Eldon Shell, Sidya Sokolov, Judith Summers, Alan Steinberg, and Marion Vreeland. If there are other names to add to our list for mourning, please add those names to our chat box. Rose Anderson, Mark Pigeon, Richard Mills, Henry Foyer, Dikran Kanian, for all of those mentioned, for all of those who go unmentioned, and for all of those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, if we're able, please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'izman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehe shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudesha brichu, Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Alleluia.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories be forever a blessing. Please be seated. And thank you all. As I've been trying to say, actually, every time I get off of these Zoom calls, you showing up here with us brings, I won't speak for Cantor Hayut, but brings me such strength and joy. So I thank you for that gift that you give me. Cantor, do you want to say anything? I imagine you probably feel the same, but I don't want to speak for you.
Ditto. Absolutely, I feel exactly the same way. In this case, totally, you could have spoken for me. It's just so meaningful to be together.
Yeah.
It's hard to not be able to be together.
Yeah. So we continue to be together tomorrow morning, 8:50. Then 10 o'clock to 8:50 for Torah study, 10 o'clock services, 7:30 Havdalah. And then we'll continue our weekly schedule next week. Although there are some differences. No Alden Salavi next week. We're taking a week off, and then I'm starting a class on Jewish peoplehood. It'll be at the same time though, Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And then we have Shavuot as well, Thursday night. 7:30 service, and then we'll continue with a fun. I think it's gonna be a really fun study session. It's gonna be a top 10 list. We're not telling you the subjects yet, but with some really interesting areas from me, Cantor Hayut, and Rabbi Daniel. Each of our sort of, I'll give you a hint, like a little idea, right? Like what's like the, I don't know. I forget what some of the areas are, but what's the I don't know, most risque part of Jewish literature, or what's the most troublesome part of Jewish literature, or what's things that are like that'll be interesting for us to study together and see what each of the three of us come up with. So it'll be a fun night, I hope. So again, that's the 28th at 7:30. There's lots else going on. Do check out the calendar for our schedule. I forgot to add in the closing song, Cantor Hayut, so we're gonna have to go to, although I prepped it over here, to our Siddur version. That'll work, right? The Adon Olam, just like that. Yeah.
It'll work beautifully. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Yeah.
Okay. Adon olam asher malach beterem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa bechefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kifloto
Again, Shabbat Shalom to everybody. If you want to stick around, we'll be doing some breakout rooms, just really short, 30-second, 45-second breakout rooms, just to say Shabbat Shalom to folks. You'll be randomly put into a breakout room with 4 or 5 other people and have a minute or have a little bit of time to chat. So do stick around if you'd like to do that. Otherwise, great to have you. Shabbat Shalom, and see you soon, I hope.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. I'm reading all the comments. They're so marvelous.
And let me, you'll be able to unmute yourself now. Just give it another moment to let people sign off so you don't get stuck in a room by yourself. That's right. I want to make sure I'm not sending you to your room by yourself. That's not what's happening here. I'm trying to avoid that at least. I was on a Zoom call with somebody a few days ago learning to do Zoom, right? Wanted to practice it. And she was sending us into breakout rooms. And I said to her, I said, listen, it took me like a few days, like 3 or 4 days for sure, to realize that I was saying, I'm sending you to your rooms. and what that sounded like. So if you're in the breakout, if you're in these sessions with me regularly now, I try really hard not to say that. I say, I'm inviting you to breakout rooms or something else. It's like sending you to your room.
He's spoken like a true dad.
I don't send my children to the room. I got sent to my room, but I don't send my children to the room. I do. Sometimes I ask them to leave the space that I'm in, though. They can go wherever they want. I don't care, but not with me.
Go for it, Josh. Send us off.
All right, here we go.
Is that happening more now than usual?
Yeah. All right. Remember, you have to accept.
All righty.
My internet is unstable. I can't get. Okay.
Hey, Elaine. you look like you there.
Hi, Josh.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to answer Deb Katz the question she sent me, and I'm not quite sure how I'm doing it. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing all right. It's good days and bad days, that's for sure. But I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
All things considered, my life ain't that bad right now.
Yeah, neither is ours.
We were just saying how lucky we are to live where we live. We've spent while we were at services watching the beautiful birds outside.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and you guys are making masks tomorrow?
Yeah, we've been making masks for Chelsea Hospital for a while now. We've made about 150 maybe.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, they still need more, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. And Sue, you're doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm not working right now, and that's just fine. I have no problem with that. I really actually don't really want to go back right now, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, we live in a great place, and it's not that much of a hardship for us. It really isn't.
We're very lucky.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, people are coming back, and we'll invite you off to new breakout rooms.
Okay.
Hey, Marilyn. I think you got to unmute yourself, Marilyn.
Muted, Marilyn.
Where am I?
Where's Marilyn? Right
I don't know today.
there.
Marilyn, it looks like you got your hair done.
There.
To here?
There you go. You're unmuted now.
Yeah. That's
What did I do?
You're unmuted now, Marilyn.
I'm waiting for Tuesday when I hear the results of my test.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind for sure. Good luck with
Sending
that.
you positive thoughts for negative.
Right.
Yes. All right. I have recreated the rooms, and you're gonna be in a room with new people now if you'd like.
Break up room 1.
Hey, Kettle.